Okay, welcome back to House Human Services. A couple of things, just a brief update on our work on pre-K. So as you know, the education bill is in the Ways and Means Committee right now, and they're looking at trying to get that bill out of committee before the end, at least no later than by the end of the week, because then it needs to go to appropriations and uh, our Senate counterparts need some time to consider the bill, and time is coming close. Um, so there was a lot of conversation in committee about pre-K and their committee, Ways and Means about pre-K, and it started rehashing policy. And so I had a conversation with actually the chair of Ways and Means had a conversation with me, and I, expressed our concern about the non-policy committee trying to impact the policy. I said, we've been through the policy already. We've made policy recommendations. We've made recommendations around language, and it would be really important as we continue to have these discussions around education that is included in the bill. So they're working through language. There was a lot of consternation in that committee yesterday, and Ray and I were just meeting with Building Bright Futures and the Let's Grow Kids Action Network folks, and DCF popped in for a brief minute, and so we're just trying to make sure that the essence of what the work that we did is represented in the bill as it comes out. Because one of the key things that we are wanting to make sure that people understand is that this is part of the education system is pre-K to 12. It's not K to 12 with this other thing out here that people think about sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's why we were delayed anyways. So let's talk about 239 and where we want to go. We are going to try to get a witness to speak to us about sort of the impact that the current exclusion for religious entities have in statute, about what the impact has been on people in the past and potentially currently. So that we can have an understanding about whether or not we should include that in the work expectations that we would ask of the working group. So based upon what we've heard so far, what are people thinking about who should be, just for ease of description, who should be at the table and who should be around the table? Keeping in mind that, right now, I haven't heard otherwise, but that I think that we had DCF willing to pay for, two folks with lived experience to participate. So what are people thinking? If you want to pull up the bill and take a look at it.
I definitely think the two lived experience should be at the table versus around the table. So there should be additional, in the process, especially with more time to really seek out broader opinions from folks with lived experience. But I think it's important that they're at that actual decision-making table.
And it's only $50 a person.
It's within existing, yes, and it's within the existing budget. We're not adding.
We're not hoping it would be volunteer, but
I
know I just volunteered for the planning commission, so people do it.
Yes, no, people do.
If you want to really, really be involved.
But everybody on the planning commission is there on a volunteer basis.
Correct.
That's different
That's
here.
what I'm saying.
People are here in a paid capacity all the other people who are members of the group
No, I'm just,
are in a pay, yeah, I'm just sharing also that it's trying to bring equity to the people to recognize that their time is worth something as well.
first of all, for sure.
Those are, any of the rest of the people who are listed as members of, they're all being paid to be there.
No, I said
should just ask.
to include the
Oh,
principal.
to include, a Vermont, from the representative from Vermont, appointed by the
Yeah.
Vermont Principals Association. So, so it seems like that we had some general consensus that we need to include people who are actually mandated, people representing folks who are mandated reporters. And education seems to be one of those key places that we need to have represented at the table. And do you think we heard from the guidance counselor that they're fine to be consulted with. So it seems like adding them to the consulted with and putting the principals on the group. Does that sound okay to people?
Yes. Also, I don't know that we've identified someone from the early childcare realm, whether that's,
And again, they said they're willing to be consulted with,
PCCs, basically.
yeah, the Parent Child Center Network. Mhm.
They represented.
yeah.
Lauren, can you print me out a copy of this bill?
You think anyone at the table from childcare, whether it's PCCs or someone from CDD or otherwise?
I think based on the testimony, I think they shared that they would be fine being consulted with, so I don't know if they need to be at the table. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, let's see who we end up with. Let's see what
Yeah,
the
how
balance,
many?
let's see what the balance, I want to
And
make sure
we
there's a balance
decided-
of people who are mandated reporters with
Versus,
versus, you know, like they deferred to all the lawyer, her name Ellen was deferring to all the lawyer type people, which I have nothing against lawyers, just want that, I want to be clear about that.
You're on the record.
Representative Bishop. But I think it's also important to hear from other people and to have a balance, because sometimes that's, I mean, not sometimes, I think that's necessary. So, I'm
And we said we're
I'm
gonna
go
take
grab
out
coffee.
OPR, right?
Do you have something here?
Yeah, Lori just printed three copies here.
So, so we have 20 right now in the document, right? Is
there
counted.
are two groups.
There's two groups, one at the table, one consulted with, so.
Okay. So how many on each group?
What's that?
At the table, how many?
There's the working group and then there's people that they consult with.
It looks
So
like
the
there are
working-
eight.
Yeah, it looks like 8
in
people,
there
right?
Currently in the working group.
In the working group, 8? And then how many in the other group?
Haven't counted yet.
Yeah, I just,
The other isn't really a group, it's just like people that they'll consult with.
okay. So they're not part of a group, okay. Okay, so they'll consult with the reporting working group. That's the other group. Child abuse and neglect reporting working group.
Now, that's the bill. The reporting working group is what we're creating.
Okay,
So there's members of that group, and those are the ones who either are paid to be there through their job, or like with a lived experience, they would get that stipend. And then the other in bullet on page 2, line 4C, in conducting its work, the working group shall consult with stakeholders, including, and those are the people who we think it's important that they consult with and work with when making but those people wouldn't be eligible for stipends or anything like that.
and right now there's only 8.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And we should never have a group that has an even
number. I
number
learned
of people.
Not a long time ago.
So I found that often there was always like one person gone, so
Yeah,
then
so
you would
we're-
have a need.
Yes,
Maybe-
we decided we're gonna.
There's 8 in statute, but one of them calls for 2. Number
Oh,
6
that's
says
true, that's true.
DCF.
Yeah, but
That's
they
not
don't
ideal.
recommend do one.
Use that.
Yeah, the other people can be around the table. I mean, around.
I would say 1, 2.
Yeah, I would say one. Okay.
So we did decide to remove the OPR because they're not mandated reporters, right?
Yeah. So what about, Vermont, a representative from the Vermont Academy of Pediatricians. I'm just trying to think of other, when we look at the list of people who are mandated reporters, the healthcare professions are highly represented on that list of mandated reporters. The Attorney General, Chief Administrative Judge, so, I don't have anything against the Chief Administrative Judge,
Yeah, I
but I'm
don't-
wondering if that person needs to be on the working group.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody might have a different opinion about that. Are people, all right, let's go start at the top.
Yeah.
So, are people okay with removing the director of OPR?
Yeah.
Everybody on this side? Okay. The executive director of the Vermont Center for Crime Victim Services, that was Jennifer Pullman, who was
Yes.
here.
Keep her on.
Keep her on.
Yeah.
Okay. The co-executive director of Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, or designee. Are people okay with that? Okay. Attorney General's Office, okay. Chief Administrative Judge,
Sure.
I have a question mark about that. I
see the premise at this time for.
if we were talking about Chin's cases,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about Chin's.
Seems like, it seems like that person would be more involved in the after we report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that process.
Yeah, this process down here, right, exactly. All right. All right, I'm removing Chief Administrative Judge.
The Defender General, I think was brought up and.
Yeah, Matthew
Yes.
brought that.
Okay, we're just going through the existing list first,
Oh, I
and then we're
see.
gonna add.
Oh, I thought it was.
I'm just going down through so we can just get through that. Okay, and it seemed like we all agreed to have one member of DCF.
Yes.
And is it, I guess we're okay with it being appointed by the deputy commissioner of the division? Okay. All right, and then the ED of Prevent Child Abuse Vermont or designee.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and the Vermont Child, Youth and Family Advocate. Okay. Is that person or designee, or is it just that person?
Designate.
No, because it might be the deputy.
It might be deputy,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Yeah.
me.
Or we could say, or deputy.
Or,
Because there's only.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Cool.
There's only the two of them.
Yeah.
Or deputy advocate. Okay, all right, now we're going back to, so right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I
Okay,
think add the principal.
Yeah.
I put educator, but principal.
okay,
A pediatrician.
So this is where I kind of, I'm a little conflicted because there's like mental health, there's pediatrician, there's emergency hospital, like
Mhm.
there's kind of a, so I would just, I don't know how we determine who is the right person that would kind of be able to represent maybe all those perspectives, or maybe we say, like, if we say a pediatrician, but then somehow convey that we want all those perspectives represented, or do we just represent do we add like a member of the DAs to represent like the mental
Yeah.
health part? And so that's,
I just noted in DCF's report for child protection report for 2024, 12% reporter type was mental health,
mhm,
7% medical.
mhm.
So
Why?
Yeah, and I think a big portion of those mental health are designated agency, the Children's Services Division of designated agencies.
So I don't remember what Amy spoke about, like their perspective, but I don't recall what she said as far as them being on the working group. Did she have anything to say about that?
She said they definitely deal with this
Yeah.
on a daily basis, essentially. So I think that it's important to represent mental health.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think it's important to distinguish mental health and the medical, like have both perspectives at the table.
All right, so for now, this is just for now, let's say a representative of the children's mental health of the designated agencies. And the Vermont Pediatrics Association or whatever they're called. And at the risk of inviting another attorney, Defender General.
and there was also a discussion of law enforcement,
Oh, yes.
which seems to represent, or legal/law enforcement is 13% of the reports received. But I think the advocate,
Or responding, yeah.
The advocate recommended them as well, yeah. Would that be from the Vermont Chief of Police Association? Vermont Sheriffs, Vermont State Police?
State police would make sense because it's state. I don't know.
But
Well,
they
the
don't
law- I was
respond,
gonna
most
say
of
law
them is
enforcement.
local law enforcement that respond to these kind of issues.
But in a lot of rural areas.
Yeah, they don't have,
State
yeah.
police.
Some at sheriffs, but,
Yeah,
let me email Matthew.
Oh.
I'm just wondering who would be the right person to
Yeah.
ask? Is it Matthew or is
I just
it
suggest Matthew.
DCF? Is it the Defender General?
we could just say a member of law enforcement.
Who would pick them though?
Well, we could say Department of Public Safety.
Yeah, and they can kind of
It didn't, right, it wouldn't,
figure out with them there.
I don't know.
There was a person, when we looked at, we called it Silver Alert or something like that.
Yeah.
Right, that they had someone from public safety that
Mhm.
came to the table and was representing law enforcement in that whole aspect that had a broad knowledge.
Mhm.
Do you remember who appointed
No,
them?
but I'm gonna go look.
All right, so for right now, I'm just gonna put a placeholder for law enforcement.
Somebody from like the Criminal Justice Council or just that's oversight of the Vermont Police Academy.
Right, because then they're also responsible for training.
Exactly.
That's an interesting, that's not people who respond, but they're the people who do the training, and training is one of the big things. So law enforcement, let's write down, what's it called, Vermont?
The
Criminal Justice Council.
Criminal Justice Council or the Vermont, I don't know what they call it in Vermont, but every state's got a law enforcement academy, so.
Well, we wouldn't do both, we would do one or the other. But the Criminal Justice Council, I think,
They would probably oversee
They would-
Vermont.
right, 'cause they-
The academy.
the academy, right, okay. All right.
Yeah, when you Google the Vermont Police Academy, the Criminal Justice Council.
It's the first
thing that pops up, yeah.
Then, the Criminal Justice Council.
1, 2. Do we have and we're moving, wait a minute, we're moving up, 2 individuals with lived experience.
We have the Office of Racial.
Equity, that I had that on my list.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Something
it's been
that-
consulted with or.
That was something that Senator Gulick brought to us.
Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3. 6.
I think my question with that would be, A, all for that agency. I don't, what will be the kind of the premise and the rationale for
well,
having
How many did
a
you get?
representative,
I come up with 13.
Yeah.
I got
I
12.
guess,
racial equity and mandatory reporting.
I don't think I want.
well, I think it's whether reports are
Yeah,
being filed
I'm missing
equitably,
one.
are they disproportionately being filed against any
13
particular
would be perfect.
set of Vermonters? Yeah, whether they're at the table or in the consultation, I don't know.
But it was at the police.
Well,
You know what we're
I
talking
could see
about.
that from a position if they're, exploring like how. the
I still got
reports are being-
13.
I got 13. I didn't write down the police.
Okay.
Oh, no, I did. I don't
Did-
know where I was at.
Did you get designated mental health?
I got mental health,
Okay. Did you get the 2 people with lived experience?
got that.
Racial equity?
That's why I didn't get. Okay, got it. Okay, thanks.
All right, so
And that's
Now,
perfect.
lived experience, Defender General, designated agencies report a lot, and we have schools that report a lot. And we have people who, okay, so let me just run down the list of this is the list that I have
Oh.
so far, and we're at 13. Okay, so the first, they're not listed in any order of preference. I'm just reading down the list. So the Vermont Center for Crime Victim Services, the Vermont Network Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, the Attorney General's Office, one member of the Department for Children and Families, the Director of Prevent Child Abuse Vermont, the Vermont Child, Youth and Family Advocate, the Office of Racial Equity, 2 individuals with lived experience, Vermont Principals Association, Defender General, Representative Children's Mental Health from the designated agencies, Vermont Pediatrics, and Vermont Criminal Justice Council.
I got 14.
I do too.
Okay,
What about, did you, where were we putting the parent-child centers? Were they on the,
I have them in the consult.
Consulting.
I got 14 because I didn't have Defender General.
All right, let me.
I had Attorney General.
2.
I got one we can add for law enforcement.
What?
For law enforcement, I
You
got
have that thing.
at least one to talk about. I got a
6, 7,
That's
8,
fact.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
We're all on the same
We either
page.
have to add one or remove one.
We could take off one lived experience and then we'll have all.
We could, but that wouldn't be the place I would take off. I would take off one of the attorneys.
Yeah.
We have a lot of attorneys on the group. Yeah,
No, what I was doing was and again, all for the office of racial, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand the premise and rationale by having
not at the
that
table,
agency.
that's what it is. I just listed them. They could be on the consult with.
But then I have 14 without that.
that's too
So
many
there's
attorneys.
3.
Well, Matthew.
Right.
Uh,
15 with that.
Sorry, so I just counted down. I
You
did.
got Executive Director of the Vermont.
we can take that to kind of ask for it, that would be helpful.
4. Did you move one for the progress? Not
We should
2.
just say one.
Yeah.
We have 6 of the originals, right?
2, 3,
And then-
4, 5, 6, yeah, for the originals.
14. Yeah, and
7,
14
8,
without the racial equity.
9, 10, 11, 12. I only have 13 without the racial equity.
Did you get both the Attorney General and Defender?
You say without the racial equity?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I think that.
Oh, yeah,
there's-
then that's 13
yeah.
without the racial equity.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I have the 6
You're
from the
Got the
original.
6
Yeah,
in the
and then
original.
I have a pediatrician,
Yeah,
just principal,
yeah,
Defender General,
yeah,
rep from the DA,
yeah,
law enforcement.
uh-huh,
Oh, I have criminal justice counsel and
Oh,
law enforcement.
okay.
There we go.
yeah. This one.
So 13's perfect.
So you may be able to get rid of one by add one for law enforcement because they have the AG. And so it's called the Law Enforcement Advisory Board, and it's to advise the Commissioner of Public, Department of Public Safety to advise the Commissioner of Public Safety, the Governor, and the General Assembly issues involving the corporate cooperation and coordination of all agencies that exercise law enforcement responsibilities. And it's this big, long list of people and, you know, maybe by the chair of that board, they seem like they're very active. So they could pick someone from within their board.
And that includes municipal law enforcement,
Yeah,
state
it's the
police.
Commissioner of Public Safety, State Police, Enforcement of Fish and Wildlife, Enforcement and Safety Division, Department of Motor Vehicles, Capitol Police, Criminal Justice, Chief of the Vermont Police Association,
Awesome.
Sheriff's Association,
Okay,
AG's up.
that
It's
sounds
long.
good.
It's a long list.
All right.
So you could have somebody from
Say,
that list.
say what they're called.
So it's called the Law Enforcement Advisory Board. So it could be the chair of that board appoints someone from that board.
Board appointed by
And that
the
would-
chair.
Because that's AG, that there's like,
Yeah, but we'll keep AG on as a separate thing.
Yeah.
We'll say, a member of law enforcement appointed by the chair of the Law Enforcement Advisory Board.
perfect.
The only one I would say that I'm still a little uneasy about is early childcare. In this report, it lumps together education staff as one statistic, 33%. No place else is childcare listed, so I assume it's in that 33%, and I don't know what the breakdown is. I know we've got them around the table, but I guess if I knew a bit more as to whether they may be 6% of that 33%, or are they 20% of that 33%? Because I know it's certainly an issue that comes up for early childcare quite frequently.
Well, what do other people think? I'm okay with leaving them around the table.
So am I. But also be open-minded.
They seemed that that's where they wanted to be.
Well, I think having
Yeah.
the PCCs testify as like all of childcare, I just, think maybe more opinions and, might be, I just don't think we should take the PCCs.
So I wonder
Is this
if
representing
Representing
childcare?
all of childcare.
Right.
They are very focused and programs and what they do. They may have a different opinion than like, a center-based pre-K or, something. I didn't realize we were using their testimony as speaking for all of childcare.
That struck me as well, but I was surprised to hear the volume of 500 individuals who are, so to the extent that they would be a childcare representative either at or around the table, they seem to be at a higher percentage dealing with the population we're interested in hearing from. So that's
Yeah.
feel a little more, but I was curious whether, I think the testimony was couched in, I think this is what, or I believe this. I'm wondering whether the center, not having consulted the 14 or 15 center directors, I wonder whether Ellen's going to hear anything differently about where they are at the table from her membership.
Also think she was feeling a bit like, I don't have, like, I'm not a lawyer, thinking maybe that was the only type of experience. And so I do wonder, because their experience is exactly what I think would round out the group. So I think she may have also just kind of been underselling what they have to offer the group.
So, I'm not sure where we're ending on that.
Yeah.
PCC, are we calling out the PCC specifically? Or are we thinking that there should be sort of broader representation of
I think it's
childcare?
hard to include broader representation of childcare because you select, do you select the family childcare, do you select the center base, do you select the PCC?
Or Head Start.
Or Head Start, which will also, I mean,
Also
Head
have
Start
high,
popped into my
yeah.
head when you were mentioning the high number. Head Start
That's
is
what I
another
was
place
thinking.
where, but again, like, that would just be too, like, from, in my opinion, it would be too unwieldy of a group to have all those perspectives. So I wonder if there's a way to kind of thread that line with like collaboration with the CDE, because they're in touch with like all provider types. They also house the Head Start Collaboration Office. They have a bit, you know, so I wonder if that's where we kind of bring in the childcare perspective, because we already have a DCF member on there.
Well, that's our family services.
Is there any
But we can
way?
add language that they need to kind of bring in the, they can internally collaborate and bring in perspective of the CDD that are related to.
Well, maybe we should specifically add the division, child development
Child
division
development.
under collaborate with.
Yeah.
I'm, the reason why I'm kind of like leaning around including PCCs directly is because of the, actually, what you were saying, they have a variety of different things. And they
Services,
can
yeah.
be thinking about the supportive services, sort of aspect of, when an investigation's not opened and how do we,
Support the
for people, how do
family,
you support
yeah.
the family when it's
Not
not.
different from another center-based, if there's a business, it's just a center-based childcare provider, they make a report. And not to say they wouldn't try to support the family, but that's not part of their
It's not
model.
part of
That's not what-
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, yeah.
Do you want me to check with, Amy during?
Amy.
About parent-child centers?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we know that they, at minimum, want to be consulted with.
Consulted, yeah.
And I think that, I think 13 is probably about the limit of what we should have on the group itself. So if we were going to add them to the group, I'd say we need to be thinking about who we would take off and move into the consult line.
So
Um,
whenever hesitate.
and there could be people that we would move into the consult line.
I'm not sure I have a clear picture as to the role of the representative from the Attorney General's office.
What he spoke to yesterday, was that yesterday? Yeah.
It was yesterday,
He spoke to
right?
yesterday, I was thinking, what's it today? I guess it was yesterday. What he spoke to yesterday was, so there's sort of two aspects. One aspect, which will be captured in the DCF side, is the assistant AGs who work in the policy at DCF, so they'd be representing their client, which is DCF. But then he said, then there's the criminal division that gets involved if there is actual charges that, come to play. But I bless you. I would be comfortable moving that AG's office to the consult with role,
Yeah,
and moving
I like that.
parent-child centers up.
yeah, because it seems like that, again, is sort of on the other side of the line.
Yeah.
Reporting the action that happens after the report. And we already have the Defender General's office, I think, who will provide the after reporting phase.
Yeah,
Are people okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move Attorney General to consult. And we'll add the PCC network to. Okay. And then I'm gonna add consult with the Child Development Division. I think that's good for a broader
Yeah.
perspective of, is there anybody else? One of the things that I was wondering about under two individuals of lived experience, the Office of Child, Youth and Family Advocate was sort of calling out, making sure that we have folks who are, who may have an awful lot of sneezing happening in this room. Get the lights all out. We've all had it going around. I'm just wondering if we, so they were talking about representing families who have, had sort of been wrongfully accused or had reports. And that's really what the Vermont Parent Rehabilitation Center is about. And so I'm just wondering if the two individuals' lived experience, should we say one individual who has been I'm using the victim word, but for shorthand right now, and then one individual, maybe chosen by the Parent Representation Center. I don't know. Does that matter how we break that out? I guess is my question. Should we be
That's
specific
really
about?
important
They are, yeah.
perspectives.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way, other than adding like two more lived experience people.
Right.
I think that's a good way to balance those.
Agree.
Okay. Are people okay with saying that the Vermont Parent Representation Center would choose a family member?
Sure.
Okay. And who would choose the person with lived experience, the person who had experienced abuse?
Advocate.
They have an advisory board.
Oh, they have their
They have
advisory
an
board, you
advisory
said.
board.
He indicated he could help with that.
He indicated what it was.
Right, okay. All right. Here, Representation Center and the Office of Child, Youth and Family Advocate. Okay. All right. All right, so let's not delve into the duties, since it's lunchtime pretty much. And, okay, that's good. So we've done a lot of our markup already. Good. Okay, we'll see you back after floor.